Oh shit, we're wobbling. And hello. Yeah, so this is a new video. One that I probably could have waited. I probably could have waited to make this video. But I don't know. The idea is in my brain right now, so let's fucking do it. As if though my coughs didn't give it away, I am fucking sick. Hair in a bun, greasy ass fucking hair, thrown into a bun. We're in bed. It's currently 7 o'clock at night, so I've been sick for like a week. I got my OJ though. And yes, it's in a Pollo Tropical cup because why not? Anyway, so what is this video about? I kind of wanted to talk about something for a while now. And like I said at the top of this video, it's on my brain at the moment, so let's fucking talk about it. I wanted to talk about what it's like to be like a people pleaser chameleon. I know there's a lot to talk about here, and a lot of people online can relate to that. But let's talk about it. Let's address it, right? I'm going to talk about it through my experience because I only know my experience. I don't really know anyone else's experience. By the way, if my coughs sound like a demon is trying to come out of my body, I do have COPD. It's not because I smoked. It's genetic. Lucky me, right? Anyway, so let's talk about the chameleon, people pleaser, people pleasing chameleon, whatever. So something that people get very wrong about people pleasing and what people pleasing means, or what it is they think it's like you have no backbone. It's like you're just a yes man because you have no backbone. You have no, like, you don't know how to stand up for yourself, or like you're just weak and you're fragile and you're just a little crybaby bitch, right? That's what people think people pleasing is. That's not what people pleasing is. People pleasing people, I know from experience this is true what I'm about to say. We are incredibly strong, mentally speaking. We are very formidable. We only come across like we're weak because you don't see the things going on internally up here. You only see what the person says or their actions or whatever, but it's always a fucking battle internally. And you're always having to fight yourself all the time. And what I mean when I say that we are strong mentally, people-pleasing type people, we're strong mentally because what we're effectively doing, and this is the whole shtick behind people-pleasing, is not to disrupt, not to cause any waves. We're not rocking the proverbial boat. We're very against doing that. That is the last thing a people pleaser wants to do, is rock the boat. This is why we come across like we don't have boundaries, or we are yes men, or yes women, actually. Yes people. We come across that way because we're trying not to rock the boat. But what that effectively means is that we know what triggers you. We know your triggers. We've observed them. We've taken note of your triggers, the things that get you upset, the things that we have to avoid to not upset you. Even up to even down to your tone can affect somebody, and we're always trying to not rock the fucking boat. So we're going to do things in a very specific fashion depending on who we're talking to, and we're going to cater to that person. And the reason why this is a strength and it's a very formidable thing to be and have is because you really understand people, right? But the problem with that is that you understand people so much that you don't understand yourself. And this is the problem with being a people pleaser, right? You lose sight of yourself. But understanding people to that capacity has another drawback if it's in a negative light, but it can be a really strong thing if it's in a more positive light. If you channel that power positively, it's the chameleon nature. This is why people pleasing and chameleon kind of in a way go hand in hand. They're like a Venn diagram like that, right? They can exist separately. You can be a people pleaser without necessarily being a chameleon, a social chameleon. But more often than not, if you are a people pleaser, especially a deep, profound one like I am, you're going to develop that chameleon nature because you're going to really observe people, and your way of being is going to change depending on who you're interacting with, because you're trying not to rock the fucking boat. So in a way, you essentially become the person to not rock the boat. Does that make sense? It's like we have this ability of not just understanding somebody, but living as that person. I don't just understand you. Because understanding is like, yeah, I can see how you see it that way, but I see it this way. No, we like crawl into your brain and we make a little nest in there. We're like mental parasites in a way, where it's like, I am now you. I now have your exact same point of view. Where it's like, if we're two people standing here looking at the same object here, somebody who is not a chameleon will be standing here looking at it from this perspective, and they'll see whatever's on this side, and they're like, oh, this is my opinion on it based on what I see here. And then you'll be over here, like, I can see how you see that because I can see it a little bit here, but my perspective is this side over here, so I don't entirely see what you're seeing. But the chameleon is able to go, oh shit, I see it exactly the same way you see it now. That's crazy. But I can also still see it the way I see it. So you're always having to like fight yourself in a way. It's so easy. This is the drawback to being a people-pleasing chameleon, is that like you're always having to you're always having to fight yourself. And if you're not careful, which more often than not, when you're not in a healthy mindset and you're not in a healthy place, it's very, very easy to lose yourself and become like, you stick in this perspective as opposed to the perspective you had originally. You do this, you see from the perspective, but you never go back. So it's like, okay, I know what my perspective looks like, but now I see your perspective, and it's like, I can still remember what my perspective looked like, but over time, I'm gonna forget it. And that's what happens. Especially if the person who you're going into their perspective, if there's somebody that what I've learned in my experience, if they matter to you, if they mean a lot to you, or if romantic feelings are involved, it's very easy to do that and lose yourself in that perspective. And I thought I had healed from this chameleon issue that I've had, but then, well, let me rephrase that. I have been healing this chameleon thing that I do, but I was still making mistakes along the way, unfortunately, because that's part of the healing process. You're not just going to be good about it immediately. You don't break your toe and then, a day later you're like, well, it doesn't hurt as much, so I'm just gonna immediately get up and walk. Like, no, you broke your fucking toe, dog. You have to give your time. You have to give your time. You have to give your toe time to heal before you can get up and walk around. Even if you've been healing for a month, there's still a possibility you might not be ready to walk all the way. Even if you are walking, you're still gonna stumble a little bit. right? It happens. You need to give yourself time to heal and exercise that big toe. I don't know why. You know what? I want to explain the psychology behind that, why I used big toe of all things. I was thinking Legend of Korra, when Korra loses her, what is it? She loses her bending, I think it was. I haven't seen the show in a hot minute. Even though I've watched it, I've seen the whole series like 7 times. My memory sucks. I think it's she loses her bending. Yeah, it is, because she lost it because of Zahir. But, or is that, I forgot the anyway, whatever. She was healing. Season 4. I think it's episode 4. It might be episode 2. Korra alone, where she's healing. She's in the hut with Katara, Master Katara. Don't want to disrespect her name. And she was healing or whatever. And she's in that tub and she like starts to move her big toe. Like, that's kind of where that metaphor came from. Anyway, I don't know why I divulged all that. Whatever. Point is, as a people pleaser, as a chameleon, you need time to kind of like heal from that, because truly what people pleasing stems from is emotional abuse. And it comes from like, it stems from a fear for your, it's like a survival thing, right? You adapt this people-pleasing tendency to not rock the boat, to not cause mayhem. Because from a very early age, your caretakers, the strongest caretaker, you know, made you feel like you had to comply in order to really survive emotionally in that upbringing. And for me, that was my mother. You know, anytime I did something or said something, my brother as well, that she didn't like, she would get super annoyed or angry with us. And my brother took a very rebellious approach to things, because that's his nature. He's a very rebellious person. But I'm not. My brother is an Aquarius sun. Aquarius is all about that rebelliousness. I'm a Cancer sun. We're all about like keeping the peace, keeping the harmony. This is the home. This is sacred. I don't want to disrupt that. And I have to put up my shell because I have to defend myself one way or another. And that's where the people pleasing came from. So for me, it was about survival. And you throw into the mix the fact that I'm trans, and my mother was like vehemently against that, vehemently against my identity. Like, she would get pissed off if she even caught a whiff of anything feminine around me. I remember there was one time where my brother's girlfriend at the time, I don't know if she watches these videos, because I do still kind of talk to her a little bit every like very rare blue moon. But if she's watching this, hi. But yes, it is you. She was in the choir in our high school. And there was one time where she had left the choir dress. So in choir, I was in choir too, my senior year. But in choir, the girls are supposed to wear, when you're doing a performance, wherever you're going to do performance, the girls have to wear this dress and the boys have to wear this like tuxedo thing, but like without the jacket. It's just shirt and like a vest or whatever. There's choir uniform, basically. And there was one day or one time where she had left her choir dress in the house, and it was in our room. My brother and I shared a room for a long time, but it was in our room. And I didn't interact with it at all, because it was like, that's not my dress. Like, why would I interact with that, right? But my mom saw the dress, and she knew intuitively that I'm like not 100% a boy, because if you had any semblance of critical thought and observing skills, seeing me grow up, you would know, you'd be able to clock it like that. This is not a cishet person. This boy is not, he ain't right, you know? But yeah, so she saw the dress and she immediately assumed that I was like wearing it or whatever. And she got super upset with me. And I was like, I swear I wasn't even fucking, like, I didn't even touch it. It's just, it's there. I didn't leave it there. I had nothing to do with this dress. But she scolded me so hard for the idea that I might have put it on. So that lets you know the environment that I grew up in. It's like, no wonder it took me so fucking long to come out to her, right? And especially because when I came out to her, she was sobbing. It was like her life ended, right? I remember very vividly her telling me like she felt like her son died when I came out to her. So that lets you know the level of emotional abuse that I was enduring growing up. But yeah, back to the main topic. So when you grow up in that kind of environment, you're going to do everything possible to not rock that boat, because I was so terrified of my mother, like, having any kind of negative reaction around me. So, because it just made me feel really terrible, because I really, really cared about her. I mean, I still care about her, but it's in a very, like, I care about her, but I'm also, it's like, I never read the book and I really want to read it because I feel like it's probably relatable. But Jeanette McCurdy's book, I'm Glad She Died, I think is the title. I really want to read that book, but I very strongly relate to that title, at least, because that's kind of how I feel about my mom. It's like, yeah, it affects me. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. So, yes, I became a huge people pleaser. And it's when you go through a lot of emotional abuse like that, it really sticks deep, like deep in your psyche, to the point where I thought that I was like mostly, or if not completely, healed from that this past year when I have been making huge strides in things. I thought I was like, okay, I'm finally connecting with myself. I'm finally living authentically. Like, this is the first time I'm actually doing this. And like, I like my people pleasing, like, I'm not aware that it's happening. So I guess it's not happening. Only to come find out that after all that situation with what I mentioned in, not my previous video, but the one before that, talking about the whole grooming situation. I need to make a side note here. I call it grooming only because I didn't mention this part in the video, but I'm still very unsure what to call it. The only reason why I call it grooming is because there was an air of like pushing me to like entertain, at the very least, entertain sexual acts. There was a lot of, so when are you going to suck my dick? And it was like, he said it in a joking way and we would laugh about it, but it's like, he would say it so often, and it's like, so that's not a joke anymore. You're trying to like put that in my brain. Like, I have to do this to you. I have to suck your dick now. Right? That's the only reason why I call it grooming, because like sucking dick, like that wasn't the only thing that happened. There was also a lot of other things. But there was an air of like sexualness involved. But anyway, so that whole situation, I've now come to realize that I was still doing the people pleasing. You know, it is what it is. I can't really change what happened. I can only move from that whole thing and grow stronger as a person. It was a very big learning lesson for me, but it's like, I don't really hear people talk about how fucking difficult it is. Because like I said, people think people pleasers, like, well, we're weak-minded because, you struggle just to do certain boundaries. Like, you really just don't give a fuck about yourself. And that's the thing, is that like, it's not necessarily that we don't give a fuck about ourselves. It's we care too much about the other person. That's really where it comes from. I cared I cared way too much about him to rock that boat. I didn't want to rock that boat, especially because he had something I've realized is that he, in a way subtler way, had a very similar energy to my mom. And I think that's the reason why I struggled so badly with him, is because he was like the perfect person to make me regress to that young child who was being emotionally abused. He was like the perfect person for that, because he did the same exact thing that my mom did, but in a way more subtle capacity, right? And so, yeah, I fucking regressed. It sucks, but there is a silver lining here. Because I've taken notice of this, and I've really psychoanalyzed the whole situation, I have learned how to look out for it now, and I have learned, or I'm in the process of like trying to be better about setting boundaries. Not that I wasn't particularly bad about it. You know, I have been pretty good about setting boundaries for the most part. But when it comes to certain people who meet this specific thing, like he did, unlocking like the same energy that my mom had, that is what I need to work on. If I meet somebody who has that same air, because it's not just my mom, a lot of people in my family, in way subtler ways, are like that. Right? Not saying that they're like emotionally abusive, because I don't think my family was, like my mom was intentionally emotionally abusive. I think my mom just had BPD. But it did come out, you know, it did result in emotional abuse, unfortunately. And so my family also has a lot of very similar issues, because my grandma, I'm pretty sure, she definitely has some kind of mental illness. I don't know what it is specifically. She's got something. It could be like narcissistic personality disorder mixed with BPD or something like that. I don't fucking know. But she is a very emotionally abusive person. So unfortunately, because emotional abusive people kind of runs in the family, I won't say a lot of, but quite a few people in my family are emotionally abusive people, and they don't even realize that they're being emotionally abusive, because they're just espousing the same kind of energy that was espoused on them. What can you do? Right? That's part of the reason why I had to step away. But anyway, this video is about my experience with being a people pleaser and chameleon. So the people pleasing aspect of it is very, very fucking difficult. Because you do truly, like, without even realizing it, it's so subconscious, it's so unconscious, you don't even know you're doing it. You just, like, people please. Like, there's a side of you that, like, knows because it feels, you feel it, right? And what I mean is, like, I saw this video, I forgot her name, and I was gonna write it down to not forget her name. If I remember her name, I'll put it in the description. So look out for the description, because that's probably what I'll do. I'll remember to look up her name after I record this and put her channel in the description, because I want to shout her out. She makes amazing videos on this subject, on people pleasing, and how to, like, recover from it and everything. It's been an invaluable source of information for me. But one of the things that she talks about in one of her videos is how it's a wiring. It's a wiring in your brain. And you're basically having to rewire your brain when you're a people pleaser. That's how you heal from that. And that's how you get to a point where you can set boundaries. And for the most part, I have done it. But like I said, he unlocked, like, this deep, like, inner child in me. It's like he knew how to reach the inner child in me and abuse that inner child who never really truly healed. Like, I have healed for the most part, but that inner child was still hurting. So he was able to get to that. And unfortunately, that resulted in me making many mistakes. But it's difficult because you really truly like, oh, what I was going to get to is it's a feeling. The feeling comes from, it's like an uncomfortable feeling. It's like, I feel uncomfortable in the situation, and it's like a fight. What is it? Fight, flight, or fawn. That's what it was. There's another thing she mentioned. It's fawning as a response, where it's like you're in fight or flight mode, but instead of like fighting or fleeing, you fawn. You basically are like, hey, it's okay. I'm the problem. It's fine. Everything is totally cool here. You don't have to worry about me. I know I'm the problem. I'm a bad person. You're not. You're good. You're amazing, actually. And I'm totally the issue here. So I'm just going to like blame myself for this situation, even though it was a very minor thing. But I'm still going to blame myself for it so that you don't get upset. So you feel comfortable. And what you're doing is you're like subconsciously shooting yourself in the foot for the comfort of the other person. It's like I have a broken leg and he just like his knee is like kind of sore because he like walked a lot that day or something. And it's like, it won't hurt him to stand up, but like he really would like to sit down, but it's like not a bother if he stands up. And I'm over here with a broken ass leg. I can't stand up because it's like not just very painful for me to do that. There's also a risk of me hurting myself. And basically what I'm doing in that situation is like, oh, no, you're not a burden whatsoever. Here, take my seat. I'll stand up. It's me. I shouldn't have broken my leg, but it's fine. I'll stand up as long as you're comfortable. And so there's a lot of self-abandonment involved with people pleasing. And like I said, this results in you really studying and observing people, and you take this very chameleon-like nature. Which, let me talk about that for a little bit, because I've been on the people-pleasing side of things. But the chameleon nature is very similar in the capacity that you do abandon yourself a lot. And it comes from the same exact source of like wanting to not rock the boat. But it's in terms of like, you become the person. So it's like, it's not so much like you do abandon yourself, because that is what you're doing. But it's not in the same exact capacity as people pleasing. Let me see if I can like describe what I'm talking about here, because this is a very weird concept to try and verbalize here in a way that makes sense. So it's like where people pleasing is more of a survival thing. Like, I need to do this to survive emotionally. The chameleon thing is more like, this is the tool that I use in order to survive, right? So it's like the people pleasing is like, I'll just do analogies because that's what I'm good at, right? It'll be like, let's say a thief, I don't know why this is the fucking analogy that comes to my brain. Let's say a thief enters your home, right? A thief just broke into your home and you're aware of this. What do? This is going to activate your fight or flight, right? You're like, do I fight this thief? Do I run away? You know, most people are going to call the cops, but you know, that's still a form of fighting, right? It's just not you fighting them directly, but it does activate that fight or flight response. Especially if the police are not there. Like, let's say the police can't be contacted because you live in the middle of fucking nowhere, right? That definitely is going to activate that fight or flight response. So what do? If you choose to fight, which is what the chameleon nature allows you to do because it gives you the tool. In this analogy, you choose to fight, and the chameleon nature would be like the shotgun or the gun or whatever weapon that you're using to fight this thief that entered into your home. That's what I'm referring to. So it's like the people pleasing is the fight or flight aspect of it, the thief breaking into your home, And now your response to that, that's the people pleasing. And then the chameleon nature is like the gun that you grab. It allows you to fight. So what I mean when I say all of this is, like I mentioned earlier, the chameleon nature is putting yourself in their perspective. And basically what that allows you to do is you become that person to the point where you understand their triggers, you understand what makes them tick, what gets them upset, what they like, what they don't like, so on and so forth. And if you're anything like me and you're not careful, which I was not for a very long time, I would essentially become them, and I would adopt their way of being. I would literally become who they are as a person, right? And it took a long time for me to really not do that anymore, because I'm especially vulnerable or susceptible to doing that with people I care about. So if I don't know you, if you're a complete stranger, you're not really going to activate that in me. Not even in the past, really. Like, you would get a little bit of that like fawning response, but it wouldn't be so intense a lot of the time. Like, it would still be there, don't get me wrong. I was still a people pleaser at the end of the day, and I would still shoot myself in the foot if it meant a total stranger could be comfortable, right? But it wasn't as intense. If I cared about you, it was way more intense. And so it took me a very long time to not do that and not have that response with people. But like I said earlier, I'm still healing and I'm still learning how to walk despite the fact that my big toe broke. But yeah, I won't use up any more of your time. I really appreciate anybody who watches my videos and sticks around for the entirety of the video. Y'all are the real one. Let me try that again. Y'all are the real ones. Because I know that I babble and I'm a yapper. And sometimes my videos can go up to 30 minutes, if not more, like this one. Sorry. I'm a rambler. I'm a gambler. I'm a midnight toker. What? I don't know. Anyway, thanks for tuning in and watching this video. And I hope that anybody who's struggling with the same issue, whether it's people pleasing or chameleon or both, I hope you could get something from this video. And if you are, I highly recommend checking out that channel. I will be putting it in the description because I feel like it's so fucking important for people to see those videos. Because listen, I'm not a psychologist, not professionally. I'm not anything I don't have any accolades. I didn't formally study any of these things. A lot of this is self-taught. A lot of the information I am aware of, it is self-taught. So I don't feel like I'm in a position where I can tell people things or have the right way of doing it, because I'm very all over the place. My brain is my brain. Listen, it's all over the fucking place. So I'm gonna leave it to people who are way better at breaking shit down and being step 1 this, step 2 this, step 3 this. That's not how my brain works. My brain is a web. Everything is connected to everything, so everything gets mixed with everything, and it's just a fucking salad. It's not properly, it's not an Italian dinner. It's just a fucking salad, a big ass salad with all the food in the dinner already in there. But her channel, she is really good at breaking things down and explaining it and being this is this and that is that and this is this and so on and so forth. So I highly recommend checking out her channel. I will be linking that in the description below. But anyway, to not take up more time, thanks for tuning in. I really, really, really appreciate all of you that stick around for these videos. And also, I just want to mention this in this video. I have been informed that I have people watching my channel that speak español. So, yo voy a tratar de traducir mis videos que yo hice anteriormente en español para ustedes, para que me puedan entender y pueden mirar mis videos y, no sé, disfrutar de ellos y es mayormente para que me entiendan. Entonces yo voy a empezar ese proceso de traducir los videos anterior en español, pero yo tengo como 25 videos, creo. Eso va a demorar un poco tiempo. Entonces, tú sabes, dame tiempo, pero yo lo voy a hacer. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please hit that subscribe button. Up, down, left, right. Pink and blue. Pink and blue. Dance's Revolution, wherever that subscribe button is for you. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye!